Hey, everybody, it's Patrick
And I'm Greg.
with the next in our series of Advent Calendar Reveals featuring retro computers that we've all used.
All right, excellent. What do we have today, Patrick?
Okay, Greg, today we have the famous Apple One, or what at the time was just the Apple computer. Um, we last talked about the Mensa Altair, and you talked about how it was one of the best selling. Um, this might have started one of the largest companies in the world, but it actually didn't sell that many of them because they were all hand built in Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs' garage, um,
Yes, somewhere estimated between 175 and 200 units were sold.
which wasn't a whole lot,
No, and the price is interesting, $666.66.
which included only 4K of RAM. And if you noticed at the bottom, it actually could take 8K of RAM. So you only got half. I'm sure there was an upgrade. And in addition, that didn't include a keyboard, I don't think. And it did not include the cassette interface, which you had to buy another little card if you wanted to save your programs off onto a cassette deck.
That's crazy. But that was probably responsible for, even though there were so few of them, it was probably more responsible for the birth of the personal computer.
Well,
I think so.
it did lead directly to the Apple II.
Right, which was pretty big.
I think this was the first computer that used the 6502. And in essence, this is what allowed them to build their ROM and which and be somewhat program compatible with the Apple II. So that gave them the base. You might say call this the development system.
Yes, it was the 6502 at 1 megahertz, 4 or 8 kilobytes of memory.
If you look on the bottom left-hand corner, there are two proms for the firmware. If I'm not mistaken, the Apple One used Integer Basic, which was the basic that came with the original Apple II. And it wasn't until the 2 Plus that they came up with what was called Floating Point Basic for the Apple people.
Okay, I know you're a little more well versed on this. They don't come up for sale very often, but how much does one go for?
Oh, these go in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And in fact, as you said, there were less than 200 made. And there's a list online of all the serial numbers of these and where they're currently stored, almost like their artwork.
All the known ones, anyway.
All the ones that are known, and when one of them sells, they update the list. And there's a similar list for the Apple II computer that I think tracks either the first 1,000 or the first 5,000 serial numbers of that series because they're so rare.
Now, I have seen a couple of YouTubers have done this. There is a replica board, so you can make your own Apple II and burn the ROMs for it, and it'll work just like an Apple II or an Apple One. I mean,
An Apple One, yes, there is there's a kit because you have to build it yourself.
right.
I believe there's even a retro edition that where that card slot is or the expansion connector, someone has made a hard drive that works on the Apple One. Obviously, it's for the people with clones. I thought that
I would imagine.
I thought that was interesting. There were no disk drives for this.
No, there weren't. There was cassette.
Yeah. And it was largely, I believe, it was initially designed as a computer that could use a standard television set, where everybody else had to either have a monitor or a terminal. This could be their terminal. And probably off the expansion, they had some way of hooking up serial ports. I don't know if you know this, but Wozniak was a phone hacker. And he used to, before this, he built little devices that would allow him to get free telephone calls.
Yes, I know it.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he wasn't using this to keep along. He invented this to keep with his hacking duties.
I would imagine.
Hope you like this latest reveal on our advent calendar of retro computers. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up.
And if you want to keep watching, hit that subscribe button. And if you hit the bell, you'll get notified every time we have a new episode.
And if you haven't watched all of the videos in this series, there should be a link on your screen so you can go to our advent calendar playlist and see past episodes.